Today we're going to take a first look at the Skechers Speed Beast, $185 shoe. It has a brand new supercritical foam, Hyperburst Pro, which is in a TPU expanded foam. We have a giant 40 millimeter heel, 36 millimeter forefoot stack, and a shoe weighing about 9.5 ounces. So very competitive in stack height to weight ratio, if not superior, with shoes such as Endorphin Shift 3, Nike Invincible Run, and Asics Nimbus 25. To go with the foam, Skechers brings into the mix a new carbon infused H plate up front, and here in the more aggressive form such as found in the Razor. The upper is a poly monomesh sandwich construction with a notably broad toe box, and of course we have a fuller coverage Goodyear rubber outsole here. I was curious to see how this shoe, said by Skechers to be an option for the 3.5, 4 hour plus marathoner and for general training, would perform. So let's get into the review. Most of my running was on the indoor track here in Park City.
Let's talk about this monomesh and polyester blend upper. Unlike some of them, it's not like an outer layer with kind of a hanging inner layer. They're kind of bonded together. It's very smooth, soft, and supportive on the foot. As you can see, the toe box is very large compared to most Skechers or just about anybody else really, but it's very well held. There's no gusset here. It's all, the hold is from the mesh. Heel hold is excellent as well. I'm at my usual 8.5, true to size. No problems with heel hold, front hold, midfoot hold. So it's kind of a simple upper, super well executed. Now, you can see we have, just to give you a bit closer look at the mesh, it's soft to the touch, but quite dense, really well aerated, nice broad toe box, really a fine upper. It affects the ride, but let's talk also a bit about the arch fit and the how in combination with the upper and the midsole, that works really well. So we have a bit of a view of the mountains beyond that big snowbank in front of the window here on the indoor track in Park City with its sharp corners. So let's talk a bit about the ride. We now have Hyperburst Pro,
A supercritical TPU foam.
It is super bouncy. Reminds me a bit of the foam in the Endorphin Pro 3, for example. It is just really, really energetic. We do have a 6 millimeter drop, but we also have a very effective rocker. I'd also outline how critical I think that outrigger is to rolling you forward. So, you know, as you land back here, you've got a very stable but kind of dynamic platform forward. So that also, I think, contributes to the fact that there's no sinking feeling with the soft foam. You can see it is quite pronounced. Whereas up front, you have a moderately pronounced toe spring, which works well with the plate back here. With our H plate up front, so they do not feel low. They feel like an honest 6 millimeters, even at slower paces. I'm not lingering at the heel at all. So I get right off the heel. Mention the arch fit. I can't take it out because it's glued in, but I think it really kind of actually works well here. And I don't know if Skechers calls it M-strike anymore, but I distinctly feel a nice kind of push forward off the midfoot. The H plate is their more performance-oriented one. I might like the less rigid one, say, that's in the Ride 10 and 11, but it certainly stabilizes this foam and gives you a lot of good impulse. It's just in the front here. So what am I seeing this shoe for? Well, they call it the Speed Beast. I think that's a pretty good name. It's a big shoe, or a beast, that's made for speed. At 9.3 ounces, it's not the lightest, but it sure runs a heck of a lot lighter than its weight would indicate. In fact, I'm quite surprised with that big stack height of
40 millimeter at the heel and 36 at the forefoot.
You've really got a lot of cushion here. I think also the outsole really helps us here. Plenty of coverage. It may add to the weight, but it keeps that, you'll give you great durability from the Goodyear, but also stabilizes the front and the rear, which is important when you got that much stack height. So it runs very kind of stable underfoot. You can see right through the upper here. Oops, down below there. It's a very, very nice kind of all of a piece polyester monomesh. The tongue, take another look there, unpadded, lace up's perfect. These really thin laces do a really good job. Heel hold excellent, as you can see. Not much heel counter, but not much needed. We do sit down a little bit into the rear here, into the platform for a bit more stability. So what is it good for? Well, Edward Cheserett uses it as his long run shoe, and I would agree with that. This is a great long run shoe. Plenty of forgiving cushion, lots of impulse, lots of stack height too, plenty of grip. So it's a good one for that, but also I think it makes a really nice max cushion daily trainer with a dynamic ride. There's none of the kind of soft sloppiness of a Moore V4 from New Balance, for example. And I think it flows better for me than the Endorphin Shift from Saucony with its Power Run midsole. It kind of, even though it's heavier, it approaches the feel of the Endorphin Speed 3 from Saucony, a bit more cushioning, a bit more maybe aggressive plate, maybe a bit softer foam, but you always worry when you have soft foams and plates and outsoles if they're kind of all of a piece, and they've done a pretty good job here. My only comment would be I might want a little bit less aggressive plate for training purposes. So it could also be, and Skechers calls it out, and I think my testing is kind of saying I agree, that it's a really good choice for the marathoner who's, say, 3:30 to 4.5 hours. You get a plated impulse, you get a soft ride. Don't worry too much about the weight. Yeah, it is heavier at 9.3 ounces, an ounce and a half or so more than most, but this will be a ride that'll get you to the finish with lots of upper comfort and underfoot comfort. So we're going to have a full multi-tester written review over on RoadTrailRun real soon. That's the Skechers Speed Beast. Available now, $185, so a fair price for a plated supercritical foam shoe.
Thank you very much for watching, and have a great run today.